Conversations with Joy. We have as our guest this week Miss Linda Sacha, and I'm so excited to have her. You know, the whole premise of all of this is to share the stories of our lives, and Linda is an amazing spirit and an amazing mentor to me, and I'm happy to bring her to you. So, hi, Linda.
Hello. What a thrill to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you. So, talk to me a little bit about what you do now.
Professionally, my work is divided between coaching women around the country and a little bit of speaking and a teeny tiny bit of voiceover work.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if you knew that about me.
I don't think that I did. And so we met when you were coaching me a bit through writing the book, and you have your own book, correct?
Yes, I do.
And let's talk about that a little bit.
Queen for a Day.
And how did that come about?
It came about out of pain and torture of my own journey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's really how it came. I had given up on my birthday, and I didn't realize I had. It was one of my sweetest childhood joys. And there was one year we had just moved to our town. My husband was out of town. I had started a new job. I didn't tell anybody it was my birthday. Pulled into the driveway and just sobbed and thought, okay, here it is, the end of the night, and not one person has said happy birthday. You know, all my best friends were out of town, and I instantly started remembering the extreme joy of having happy childhood birthdays. You know, and we never had a lot of money, so it was about all your cousins showing up with, you know, cupcakes, and we did a talent show, but you were the princess at the moment. So the more I realized how when you don't celebrate your birthday, you're not celebrating yourself, you're not celebrating life, you're not taking in, you're not noticing your value. Not celebrating my birthday became the springboard for, wow, what else aren't I noticing? You know, I'm sure with your two boys, their birthdays are always perfect, right? You've got the party, you've got the perfect cake, but as women, we often don't do that for ourselves. We put ourselves at the bottom. I went to a seminar, a self-publishing seminar from Sark. Are you familiar with that author, Sark? She's the one, her books are all done, they're handwritten like in magic markers, and they're always colorful, international bestseller. And it was called Juicy Pen, I think, Thirsty Paper. And at the end of that seminar, I said, okay, 1 year from now, I will have my book written.
Wow.
So I took myself to the mountains and for 5 days and just wrote and created the whole outline, because I realized there really was a process of how I reclaimed my birthday, and that reclaiming my birthday was secondary compared to how I had reclaimed my heart again and my personal passions, and I began thinking about myself again.
So, what were you speaking on before?
Well, always the human aspect of business. So even though I was a corporate trainer, I was working with your relationship with customers, bosses, team, self. So I've always been interested in the human factor. I was just leaving myself out of
we do that a lot.
Out of that formula.
Yeah.
And then once you start to open that shell, there's no stopping, you know.
So you grew up where?
Akron, New York.
Okay.
2,500 people.
And then where did you go to school?
I went to a turning point in my life, as my father said. We went, in my graduating class of 8th grade, there were 14 kids.
Wow.
And so we were all going to go to the high school. I was in a little tiny Catholic school. So we were all going to go to the high school and be with all the kids in the neighborhood. And my father said, if you'll go, I want you to go into the city, to this school. I was like, no, why would I leave my friends, leave the country, go into the city? And he said, if you'll go when you're 16, I'll get a used car and you can drive yourself, like you'll have a car. If you'll try it for 1 year, and if you don't like it, you can change your mind. And that was a turning point in my life because my father introduced me to beyond our teeny town. And he knew me better than I knew me. So I was there 2 weeks. I was like, oh, where have I been all my life? You know? So I went to high school in the city, and then I went to college in Pennsylvania at Mercyhurst College.
Oh, nice. And what did you study?
Double major in elementary education, and it was called special education at the time. I really wanted to teach trainable, mentally handicapped children my whole life, and never spent an hour in the classroom with them.
So what happened when you graduated?
My husband, my boyfriend at the time, he got a job in Florida.
This is a theme for everybody that I have interviewed.
Really?
It's always a boy. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Those darn boys.
So the boy brought you to Florida.
Well, he got a job in Florida and I got a job in Buffalo. So then when he proposed, he said, but I really love Florida. And we had been together for 4 years. So I had a job interview over the phone, but it was for kids with learning disabilities. Learning disabilities, I should say. And so I ended up in that niche and loved it. And that was it. And
how did you go from that to being a corporate trainer?
Well, I knew I loved being a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher since I was little.
Me too.
Yeah? And that's what you are doing with your book and your work. Yeah, we don't have to be in a traditional setting. And that's what I found out. 6 years, 7 years in the school system, it was marvelous. It wasn't for me. I thought if I had to do one more lesson plan and bus duty and hall duty and all those things that are required of a teacher. I mean, if you're a teacher in the school system, as far as I'm concerned, you're up for sainthood.
Right, I agree 100%.
Yes, so I did that, and I know, my boss called me, and he said, I'd like you to be a consultant for the school system and help special ed kids, teachers, with materials and seminars so that as they come back into their classroom. So then I got that whole taste of teaching adults and serving them and bringing them materials, and I really liked that. My parish priest at the time called and said, could you come and open a computer lab and work with kids who are having problems in the school? So I found out I missed kids, so I said yes, and I went. So there was that whole teacher thing going on. And then I had one step in there, opening a Swedish clog store. Because I wore Swedish clogs being from Buffalo, and everybody would say, where do you get those? So I opened a store for a while. And in that I heard of a bank that had been interviewing educators. They wanted an educator's model to write curriculum in the bank. So that's how I got into corporate, which is pretty funny because I couldn't balance my own checkbook. But they taught me about the business world, and I introduced them to education. And then when I got a promotion, became an officer of the bank, it was in the paper, and so people started calling and saying, well, you work for the best bank, could you do some public seminars on customer service? It's so great that I said yes, because what did I know at the time? But in our 30s, we say yes. We say yes. And I'm so glad I did. Yeah. So from that, I started doing public seminars, and then I got the bug and opened my own company. My favorite thing that jazzes me is helping the light turn on for people.
Where do you think that comes from?
What a good question. Maybe because someone somewhere must have done that for me.
Maybe your father, it sounds like.
Yes, my father had a lot of loving relatives, a loving mom. Somebody helped me see the light of who I was. I know who it was.
Okay.
So you had to ask me that question for me to think. Vivian Rice in Colorado.
Okay.
Holistic nutritionist.
Oh, nice.
85 years old now, was just at my house for a week. Yes, I went there because I had a lot of physical illnesses.
And this was when?
Oh, in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, in the 80s. And I was having all these physical problems, and I kept saying to the doctor, I think it might be related to what I eat and how I feel and my stress level. And he said, you're reading too much. So my girlfriend in Colorado was hearing this, and she had just been rescued from a surgery by Vivian. And she kept saying, you have to come see her. And, well, I can't go to the doctors in Colorado. Well, you know how things work out synchronistically. Mm-hmm. I was at the bank for 3 weeks, and they said to me, would you go to Colorado? So I met Vivian. In 5 minutes, she understood how I was feeling more than, the 3 years of doctors where I was getting nowhere.
Mm-hmm. How did she change that for you? I mean, as far as your eating and all of that, what is the philosophy behind all of that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She was in the Holistic Nurses Association as well, so she was an RN. She is an RN.
And that was before it was popular. I mean,
before it was cool.
The thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's a herbologist.
Okay.
And she's a homeopath. I mean, she's got all the holistic pieces, plus as well as the emotional processes. She immediately said, well, you haven't digested your food in 20 years, honey. So we're going to start you with this digestive enzyme, and let's switch all that heavy eating you're doing, and let's get back to vegetables and no processed foods. And it was
30 years ago.
It was 30 years ago. She was ahead of her time.
Way ahead of her time.
When I think about it, I mean, we didn't even think we were eating crummy when we were having, goops of Velveeta cheese poured over our pork, right after our potato chips and 3 beers.
Right.
Right?
What's wrong with that?
That's what our 30s were all about. When was the next event with your friends?
Right.
So, and then once she got my eating straightened out, then she began to say to me, well, where are you putting your focus? What do you believe in about yourself? And what do you believe in about your heart? And are you happy? And what's your relationship with God or spirit or the universe? She's part Native American, so there was a lot of information with, the Great Spirit. And she did seminars at the only health food store in town, and because it was so new, we'd get 75 people to show up to find out, well, what is a homeopathic, and what are herbs, and why would you take that? And are you familiar with muscle testing?
No.
And kinesiology? Yeah. So that's what she introduced everybody to, and how to be responsible for your own choices.
Wow.
When I found something that lit me up, of course you want to share it with any of your friends who aren't feeling well. And my husband, who is a very strong left-brained engineer, he had a lot of thinking to do about this. But as he watched me heal and everyone else, now, he's Vivian's and my biggest fan.
I think that it's interesting. I want to talk to you about your dynamic with your husband, because to the extent that I know you, I can imagine that you guys are opposites in a lot of ways.
Yes, but the way we're very similar and right in alignment with one another is we have the same set of values. We both have a high need to be with each other and have a strong relationship. And then where we're different is he has a high level of private time necessary, and I have a high level of social time necessary. But then we found out we both need both. Mm-hmm. So we come together to be with one another, and then we pull each other into our worlds for we'll have quiet time together, or he's taught me the value of being quiet too. Mm-hmm. And I've taught him the value of not living in a cave only too. So
right.
Yes, we grew up together, and isn't that nice when you can grow up together and somewhere along the line realize, oh, he needs more quiet time. What we just realized a short time ago, a friend said to us, you two are like ships who go parallel, and then one of you does this and one of you does this, exploring, doing your thing, and then you come back and you dry dock together.
Okay, so then now how do you bring all of that into your coaching?
Coaching, well, it's the same thing for me. Okay, like when you called, you wanted to write your book. So you're so highly motivated. My most favorite thing is to invite a woman to joyfully, nice theme, get from A to B. So they always call because they have a B that they want to get to. So I love helping them see all that they are and all the strengths they have. So that same thing. So turning on the light for a person so that they go to be and not only get the job done, but discover themselves along the way and realize the reason they wanted to go to B in the first place was because of who and how they are. So you wanted to write your book because you had another whole mission in mind.
That I had no idea about.
Yes.
Consciously, at least.
Yes, but the book became your vehicle for taking you on this mission of helping people live with greater love and joy. You know, whether they're getting divorced or dating or... Yeah, so I love to turn the light on. There's that same theme again, and help you fully see yourself so that when you get your results, it doesn't feel hollow.
You must have a very strong spiritual relationship, because what I have learned in working with you is that I can trust that what you say is almost like a funnel from above through, like whatever you say I need to do, because it's not, a lot of it I feel like isn't even coming from you, it's you channeling it. So what I want to know is what is your base, you know, like how did you get there to be able to do that for people?
Well, thank you for saying that.
It's absolutely true.
Because I now am aware that that's what happens, but you know, that was an evolving thing, and that began with Vivian again, inviting me to trust myself and have a relationship with that higher aspect of us. That, okay, we've got this whole human experience going, and as I told you, I was brought up Catholic, but then early in my 20s, I haven't been to church since, you know, so church is not my thing. It's not my place where I'm nourished. I read all different religions. I read lots of different spiritual materials. I go to a lot of seminars. I love exploring everybody's different relationship with God, spirit, source, universe. So Vivian was my introduction to that, because she asked me about my relationship with that higher part of me and how was I going to use that to get well. And she might as well have been talking Chinese, because that wasn't a relationship I had. To me, God was a big, scary Catholic bad guy, you know. And before a coaching session, I set a very powerful intention, and I call in to the session all of the highest energy available for me and for my client. And I expect that I have a belief in guardian angels and guides, and I believe our loved ones are always with us, helping us. So I call everybody in from my side and my client's side, and I asked for the communion of those energies and the highest teachers, because I believe we're always taught. You know, I'm not saying I'm psychic and it's not coming from me.
No, I know that. I
use my love of process and getting people from A to B, but when an idea comes into my head, I have learned to get out of my way.
Right.
That's your idea from your higher consciousness jumping over and saying, yeah, screw this.
It's so amazing. And I don't want anybody to get the idea that coaching with you is like some kind of seance or anything.
Right, a psychic reading.
Because it's so...
No, we're going to get results.
I was on the other side, like, you know, it has been since the last session that I had with you that I realized that what a close connection you must have with God, or whatever name you want to affix to it, and how direct that your messages were. It's subtle.
Good.
It's subtle in as you're doing it. It's subtle. You're not beating people over the head with it, but it's absolutely true, I think.
Oh, I'm so glad that was your experience. I mean, bottom line, I knew you were getting the results that you wanted, but that's because you're just so highly motivated. You know, a few suggestions in your history, you know, you're gone. My intention is when we have a coaching session, your highest and best interests will be revealed to me, and I am to stay out of the way. So.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which I bet is exactly what you do with clients.
I don't think I've ever done it that explicitly. Like, I do a lot of stuff on the inside. I don't speak things out in the same way that you do, in setting intentions and things like that. So I think that's another place that I need to go, you know, as far as speaking more of my intention out into the world rather than just living in it and with it. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I think that living in it and with it comes first, and then all of a sudden you realize, if I set the intention prior to everything I do, I have an effect on the outcome, and I'm doing it with spirit. When I am having a challenge or a difficulty with someone, and I know it's a human experience, there are very few people I don't get along with, so I get confused when there'll be something going on, you know. So I've learned to close my eyes and picture them sitting across from me like this. And then I picture their God self or their godliness or their spirit self above their head. And I picture that above my head. Then each of these bowing to the other. And then I can actually look in the person's eyes in my visualization and see love going between our hearts. I can shift that relationship.
Wow.
One of my clients was very concerned about one of her sons and how things were going. So we talked about this method, and she did it every day for 30 days, and she just watched everything change in that relationship. All of a sudden, she thought to herself, oh, why don't I read that book that's been on the shelf? And, oh, I think I'll go to that seminar. And so it's not about magic. It's about you enact your brain, your subconscious mind, and the energy and consciousness of God and love.
So when you need to connect with that and it's not coming naturally for you, what do you do? Connect with God? Because some people go to church.
Yes.
Some people, you know.
And how excellent.
Right.
Whatever does it for you.
Right.
Yes. For me, it wasn't doing it. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm a slow waker-upper. So I lay in bed and I go to sleep doing a gratitude on each finger, so that I go to sleep in the energy and intention of, wow, what a day. I wake up and I think about my day and how I am going to let love move through me. And then as soon as my feet hit the floor, I say, you know, I am ready for my day, bring it on. And then I do a different sets of prayers and rituals, and I do a little bit of energy work to, you know, so whatever we're in the middle of learning, we're great teachers of, because it always puts it in our face.
That makes my life make so much more sense. Just even hearing that. So you're saying you have a meditation CD, then?
Yes, and I made it because I wasn't meditating and everyone around me was saying, oh, I can't focus my mind, so I did 5 guided meditations. And because whenever my friends and I would get together, they'd say, Sasha, lead us in a meditation, and I'd make them up because I love to create in the moment. Using the same method, I set an intention and wrote them all, and then went to a friend's recording studio, and he put beautiful sound effects for it. So yeah, it's guided meditations to help you focus.
So what is your favorite sound?
I'm torn between birds in the morning, laying in bed and hearing all the birds, and I'm a music wild woman. I love music.
So finish this sentence. Love is.
Wow, okay, so two things just came up. Love is me, and then the next thing that came up was, you can't say that. That sounds, you know, those old tapes that we had, that you can't say that, love is me, but I can.
When you breathe your last breath, what will be the thought that goes?
I matter. I matter. I mattered. Yes, things, people, a blade of grass, anything is different or more enhanced because I was alive.
What is the thing that you're doing right now that has you living fully, you know, and you're passionate about and all of that?
I am a wild woman for art.
Okay.
In my classroom of 14 kids, we never had art class, never can't draw a stick figure, never took an art class in high school. So at 58 years old, I'm catching up. So I go to Art Studio 308 in DeLand once a week for formal classes, and I go to Funky Trunk Treasures in DeLand, which is the new hot spot where she's doing tons of workshops. And so I'm learning Zen doodling and acrylic painting and oil painting and how to take all your crummy jewelry and put it together and make a collage. So all of my spare time, I'm on fire. That's all I want to do. I feel like the little girl in me is jumping up and down. Like I have the box of Crayolas. So I go to Michael's and I buy one of everything.
Oh, that's so fun. I find that happens when you begin to live in the creative more and more. Is that kind of thing happens. You either get back into music, like that's what I did. I started music lessons again.
Oh, what do you play?
I sing.
You sing. Oh, in my next life I want to sing. Who would you say, like, what kind of singing or singer are you? Are you jazzy?
A little, yeah. My current favorite is Rebecca Ferguson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you sing us a few bars?
Well, I think Linda is just amazing, and I hope that you enjoyed that interview as much as I enjoyed doing it. You can spend more time with Joy by checking out the blog. It comes out every Monday on divorcewithjoy.com. Then there's a newsletter. You can go to the same website and subscribe to the newsletter on Wednesdays, and then on Fridays, Conversations with Joy. So make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you don't miss any of the future episodes. And I look forward to spending more time with you.